I'll give you a second to get your notification to hop on. As always, if you are getting on here, and even if you're watching the replay, I love to read where you're from. So tell me where you are watching from, what state, what country, wherever you are at, and just say hello. Hopefully you guys are having a good Monday, right? My chair is broke. It's the day after Mother's Day. Um, if you happen to be on here for the recorded part, but hopefully you guys had a good day yesterday. I know for some people that can actually be kind of a traumatic day, but as a mama who has lost a babe, I try to still view it as a positive in every possible way that I can. I remember actually when Kinley was in the hospital, I had another mom who had lost a little boy, and she was there for the second time with another child. And I remember her telling me that her baby was the one of the best blessings that she had ever had. And it was really hard for me to understand and comprehend that in the moment because I was so overwhelmed with grief and watching my little girl struggle. I was like, how can your baby that only lived for 2 weeks be the biggest blessing of your life? Because it was just very overwhelming and devastating at the moment. But literally now I can 100% look back and say the 26 days that I had with Kinley were absolutely amazing. And she really is one of the biggest blessings of my life. And I've learned so much from her, which is something that in the time I couldn't comprehend it at all. All right. So now that you guys are here, like I said, love to know where you're from. I have my chair so high, so it keeps moving the video camera. I love to know where you're from. So if you want to chat, tell me, what state you're from. Tell me hi. I love to see it. Just as a reminder, I'm streaming on a bunch of different platforms. So for some of you, depending on which page you're on, I can see your names, and some of you I can't. So just in case you get confused. Okay. I want to talk about compromising in relationships because this is a really big one. We are taught to compromise. We are taught that in order to have a successful relationship, to have a healthy relationship, we have to compromise. And I'm here to tell you that, hello, hi, Sybil, welcome from Idaho. Compromising, while it sounds like that's the way to make stuff happen, it's actually not. And I'm going to tell you why. So we're gonna dissect this a little bit because we've been taught that compromising is important. It's part of having healthy relationships. I give a little, you give a little. Neither one of us are selfish, and so it makes everything flow. When in reality, we're actually doing a bit of a disjustice to ourselves. In fact, it's actually some narcissistic behaviors that we're aligning with when we're compromising. So, first of all, I can't caveat enough that being your authentic self should be your number one thing that you're focused on, because without that, nothing else is going to work for you. You can fight through life and fight through everything else you're doing. If you do not align with who you are and your authentic self, everything else that you do will continue to be met with resistance, right? This is why I teach human design. This is why I do human design courses, is because when you get to that space where you're aligned with who you really are, you'll stop fighting that. And then you can, how can you be with another person and be in harmony with them if you're not aligned with who you really are? So I see this a lot. Like, people are out there and they've just come from broken relationships, and then they're dating, and it's like, what are you doing? Because you're taking like a wrecked sedan, like a totaled car, and you're trying to take it out on the freeway and drive at 75 miles an hour again, right? Before you fix the tires. So what's going to happen, right? You're going to crash and burn again. So number one is you've got to focus on being your authentic self. So as I tell you these things, you need to be aware that that's a really big key to making all this happen. So what exactly is compromising? So compromising is basically settling a conflict by giving something up that is of value to you so that you can be in agreement with someone else. And so you are accepting a scenario, accepting an outcome, accepting something that is less than desirable, lower than what you desire. Because in a compromise, I'm saying, I'll take a little pain and you take a little pain. And therefore it's equal. And so we grew up thinking this because this is what we're taught with our families. If I want to fit in to my family dynamic, I have to compromise. I have to follow the lead of my parents. I have to follow the lead of my siblings in order to mesh. I have to compromise. Otherwise, what will happen is that I'm going to get in trouble. If I don't fit into my family dynamic, I'm not going to get rewarded. My needs are not going to get met. So we get into this space where we get these codependency issues with needing to compromise. And it's actually a narcissistic strategy because you're not being yourself. So when you do not have all this past conditioning and you are being true to who you really are, you can be in a relationship with someone that you are compatible with, very harmonious with. Your energy actually fits into their energy like a puzzle piece. And guess what? You don't need to compromise. And is like unicorn as that sounds, it's the 100% truth. But how often do you think that two people are living their true authentic selves and can meet and come together, right? It is a little bit of a rarity, but if we're all working on that, then it definitely can happen. So we shouldn't be like, hey, I'll take a little pain, you take a little pain. No, we should be in a space where I'm winning and you're winning. Because is what happens is we learn that love is pain, and that in order to be loved, I have to feel a little pain. And in order to love someone else, they need to be compromising or showing me that they're willing to feel some pain for me as well. Do you see how unsettling that is? That's not a good relationship. But that's what we teach, is that, pain is love. So how do we get away from this? Because is what's going to happen is you basically create this deep wound, and there's this desire that I have to be accommodating. But worse than that is that if I'm in a relationship with someone and I'm not in a space where I'm really compatible with them anyways, then I expect some pretty big things for them. I expect them to accommodate my needs. I expect them to compromise for me. I want to see that they're willing to sacrifice things that are important to them for me. I want to see that they're willing to compromise things that make them happy because then I feel loved. It's a little mind boggling, right? When you look at it like that, it's like, whoa, 100%. So what do you think that creates, right? We develop this thought that love is compromise. And so if I want to be loved, I better see the person that I'm with compromising, and I also better be compromising, which is not living my true authentic self. And in fact, I was having this conversation with my mom yesterday. I was like, at this age, like in a relationship, I'm not willing to compromise anything. And I told her, I said, to people on the outside listening to that, they're going to look at it and be like, wow, that's pretty selfish. It's not, because I can tell you, looking back when I was younger and being in a relationship, I was compromising everything because I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be loved. And so I would compromise everything about myself as long as it made it so I felt like the other person liked who I was. I would compromise a lot of stuff, very unhealthy behaviors, because yes, let's say, like, if it's dating, right? In the honeymoon phase or even the honeymoon phase of a friendship, I can sustain that, right? I can compromise who I am. I can, pretend that I like to eat radishes if I don't, because, you like radishes, so I'll eat radishes too. And in this space, I'm like, no, I don't like radishes. I want this to be a win-win for both of us. So let me show you using the radish scenario. The way that this goes is I don't want to eat radishes and I'm not going to eat radishes with you, but you can eat radishes and I will totally support you in the fact that you love radishes. And to me, that's amazing. You love radishes. I'll support that you love radishes. See that? I don't have to compromise. I don't have to start eating radishes to fit in with this person. I don't expect them to start, eating celery if that's what I love. You eat your radishes, I'll eat my celery. See how you kind of keep that divided line? It's a win-win because I'm not forcing you to do something. I don't expect you to compromise to do it for me. And you both stay in your harmonic self. Now, the problem is that we try to shove ourselves into relationships with people we're not compatible with. And so we use compromise to offset that so that we can get along and we can be in these relationships. And we also get it in our heads that longevity is the thing here. How long have you been married for? How long have you been dating for? How long, how long, how long? And so compromise keeps us in relationships longer, keeps us in really unhealthy relationships longer. Where if when we were dating, we didn't compromise, it's okay. Like, hey, we were together for 2 weeks. I'm not willing to compromise. You're not willing to compromise. Perhaps we're not being selfish. Perhaps we're just not a good fit. We, potentially we're just not compatible. So we try to push that. So when we force people into these long-term relationships based on compromise, we are basing our relationships off of I'm going to show you that I'm willing to sacrifice for you. I'm going to give you pain. I want to see the same thing from you. You're giving me pain. And then we have this relationship based off of this pain. Now, if we come up with a win-win situation, then it's a healthy space. So if you keep doing this compatible or this compromise thing, you're just never going to be happy. You're never going to find the space that you need to be in. So being authentic will allow you to attract, because that's the other thing. Like people are like, well, Amy, how do I attract the person that I have harmony with? Going back to that first step, you have to be authentic with yourself. If you're following your strategy. So what's a strategy? A strategy means, like I was just working on some client notes. The client that I'm working on is what we call a projector. So her strategy is to wait to be invited. By that, it means that let's say that we're sitting at a table and I'm with all my friends and everybody's talking, we're at lunch. If she just starts talking, the auras and the energies of the other people will not accept what she's saying. But if she waits for the person next to her to even look at her slightly with a look of, what do you think? Doesn't even have to be verbal. Doesn't even have to be verbal. Her energy communicating with the other, your auras overlap, they communicate constantly. Even the other person looking at her slightly and saying, ooh, what do you think about that? That is an invitation for her to speak. So then if she speaks and gives her opinion, everybody will listen because she was invited to the energy of the other people. That's what a strategy is. It's so cool because if you follow it and you live it, you will release all the resistance from your life. And so you are being your authentic self. When you do that, you don't have to worry about, I need to attract someone that is compatible with me, that is able to live in harmony, because it happens for you. You attract it. When you're not living your authentic self, you're pushing yourself into relationships. You're compromising. You're trying to make it work. You're forcing things that shouldn't be forced. And then you live with lots of resentment, right? You're arguing. You're not compatible. And so then you get into the space where you're like, wow, we've been married for 10 years. And like, it's just not, it doesn't, right? You reach a limit eventually. So I'm going to give you 3 things because I love sets of 3s. So what 3 things are we going to do here? So 1, focus on removing past conditioning so you can be yourself, right? That's why I do what I do. That's why I do sessions. That's why I do human design. You can do this on your own. You can reach out to an energy worker. You can read books, whatever it is. You're basically just removing past conditioning. So think of it like this. You're removing toxic phrases, things that people said to you when you were a kiddo. You're removing beliefs, things that people said to you that are not true, like, without money, I am not safe. Those types of things. They're conditioned things that you hear that without an education, I cannot have abundance. Those types of things, all right? So focus on removing past conditioning. Then you have the ability to attract. So second thing is, without that, you live who you are. You have the ability to attract someone that you are truly compatible with, that is harmonious with you, that is I'm just going to say it. Basically, your unicorn does exist out there. Okay. And then compromise is not necessary. So the third one is compromise isn't necessary, and you're going to flow in harmony. You don't compromise. You win-win instead of pain for pain. You get rid of compromise, which then, leads to those narcissistic behaviors. Pretty interesting, huh? So think about it, let it resonate. When you meet with it, with your like, wait, no, I don't think maybe, just remember, you've been taught that compromise is the way to go. So allow yourself to be a little open with that. Self-reflect and be like, yeah, actually, that does make sense. Compromise does mean I give away something of value. What if I allow you to eat radishes and I eat celery? It's a win for me. I don't have to give anything away. We're both happy. Beautiful. Okay, so there you go. Happy Monday. I was like, what day is it? Happy Monday. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. I can't believe it's already, what is it? Going into the second week of May. I hope your weather is beautiful. We had snow this morning, so I'm just like trying to maintain this sense of it's coming. The spring is coming. Do not get depressed. It will be fine. But there you go. Okay, guys, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your night and happy Monday Soul Deliciousness.